Necron Army Lists, 8th edition. So many options! Time for a chat about list building with the new Necron Codex.
Necrons!
Nick speaking, and welcome to this video. Right, 2 weeks with the Codex, and today we're going to have a chat about my 8th edition Codex lists. Before that though, if you would like to keep up to date with the wonders of Warhammer 40k, then please give me a sub and hit the bell button so you don't miss an upload. Okay, so the new Necron Codex is out and we've got to make some new army lists, or at least adapt some of our army lists. Now it's fair to say that in 8th edition it's probably been the hardest edition to make army lists. There seems to be a lot of things to factor in. Not only have we had a brand new rule set, we have new force organisation charts to deal with, or detachments. We no longer have the formations or the Decurion, which used to make list building a little bit easier. We've had the introduction of stratagems, command points, warlord traits and new missions on the table. We've had to deal with the change from index to codex, some armies getting their codex first before others, and then on top of that FAQs and chapter approved. Now I've made a video about my journey with the Necrons from index to codex. I'll link you up to that video just there if you're interested in seeing that. The journey has been a lot of fun, however it took me the whole of that journey to come up with an actual final list as such. I'm going to talk about that list and some other lists in this video. Okay, so I am always being asked about Necron lists, all the way from beginners who have just started with Necrons up until people who have a big Necron force. So I am going to make some videos about list building. In today's video I'm going to run over my 3 current Necron lists and my journey in 8th edition. However, I plan to make a lot more list building videos, including how to expand the new Necron box set, list building for beginners, etc. So I hope you will stay to watch all of those videos. However, in today's video I'm going to have a chat about my Necron lists. So let's have a chat about my first list, my Assault Crons. Okay, so my Assault Crons. This is my list that I had ready at the end of the index for the Codex to come out. I was hoping for a big points reduction in quite a number of the units, however that didn't quite happen. In actual fact, my list went from being a 2,000 point list to being 2,300-ish, mainly due to the Wraiths going up dramatically in points. Now this list was a replacement for my 60 strong Flayed One list, because Flayed One had gone up dramatically in the index. Now I'm going to talk about my Flayed One list at the end of the video, but first let's have a look at this Assault Cron list. Now the idea of the list is to have a HQ and a couple of troops sitting at the back taking backfield objectives, to have a big squad of warriors who teleport via a cryptic and bed of darkness towards the enemy, and then you've got an assault element of the army. Scarabs and Wraiths are perfect for that. And then just to finish it off, a couple of squads of Flayed Ones deep striking in. So definitely an assault army. Now the Novok dynasty is perfect for an assault army, letting you re-roll the hits in close combat. Combine that with the shred special rule from Flayed Ones, maybe some of the extra stratagems, this army could be pretty powerful. But like I said, the Wraiths went up in points, so I had to adjust my list. So I've got my new list, so let's have a look at it. Okay, so let's have a look at the list. Now this list doesn't have too many changes. I've just adjusted it slightly for the points and obviously making most use of the dynasties that I can. So I've got the battalion detachment first, which is the Mefrit dynasty. This is the defence side of the army. So I've got in my HQs a Lord with a war sigh, and he'll have Honourable Combatant as his warlord trait. And then I have another Lord with a Void Blade. Troops wise, 2 squads of Immortals. I've gone with Tesla just because of their defensive capabilities. Longer range, 2 shots, you get a few more shots out, and with the Mefrit dynasty, if someone does get close, that makes those guns -1 AP at half range, so pretty nice. And then I have 17 warriors, and that's for the Cryptic with the Veil of Darkness. Now the Cryptic is in the Novok Dynasty, and I've got an Outrider detachment. So I've got the Cryptic with the Staff, Chronometron and the Bell of Darkness. And then in the Elite section, 2 squads and 9 Flayed ones, no change there. Flayed ones of course have come down in points, which helps my list slightly. Now the Wraiths, previously I had 3 squads of 6, and then I had 3 squads of 9 Scarabs. Now the only way that I could get the points to the right levels to reduce the quantities of those. Now the Wraiths are the big thing of the list, so I had to have 3 big units. However, I had to slim them down to 3 units of 5, and then the Scarab Swarms have been slimmed down to 3 units of 6. Now I'm a bit iffy about 6 Scarabs. I think ideally 1 more Scarab in each would be a little bit better. I prefer to have maximum, but at the moment I'm really happy with it. It comes in at 1997 points, and it gives me 7 command points, allowing me to use some of those very nice stratagems, in particular the one that lets my Wraiths advance and charge in the same turn. Great stratagem. The one where I can reanimate the Wraiths, once again a great stratagem for this army. +1 to strength on those Flayed ones, another great stratagem. So I've got some really good potential with this list, and it's very different for Necrons as well. So that's list number 1. Let me know what you think of that list in the comments box below. Now I'm going to move on to my second list, which is a brand new list, and this is a new list ready to play Ace Face. Okay, so as you may know, I had a game with Ace Face 1 week after the Necron Codex, so I had to come up with a list. Now I could have used my Assaultron lists, however I wanted to come up with a new list, A, because there's a lot of new Necron toys in the Codex, and B, because I wanted to surprise Ace Face. We always try to outwit each other on the table. Now Ace was going to play Tau, and I was of course playing the new Necron Codex. Now I came up with several army lists, but I have to be honest, I struggled with the army list. Not because I struggled to make the list, but because I had so many great combinations that I just wanted to try out on the table. My first army list that I made, which consisted of 3 units of 6 destroyers, came to around 3,000 points, so I had to really slim down the points. My initial list had a monolith in it as well. Yes, I know monoliths are rubbish now. They've had no change, no points change, no rules change. However, we've got a few stratagems that I was looking forward to trying out, and I will try them out in the future. However, they didn't make it into this list because I had to play Ace Face, and Ace Face is a top-end tournament player. Now if you haven't seen Ace Face's channel yet, please have a look at it. That is his YouTube channel. Go and check it out. He's also a member of the Twisted Dice YouTube channel, which is another great battle report channel, so check that channel out there as well if you haven't done so. Okay, so let's have a chat about my new list. Okay, so I had a lot of really funky ideas that I wanted to try against Ace Face. However, I couldn't squeeze them all in the list. So I decided to go for one of the concepts. I really wanted to try out the new Tesseract Vault, and I also wanted to try out Destroyers. So what I did is I went for a list which I'm calling Alphacrons. So it's basically an Alpha Strike list. Don't forget, I'm giving away this amazingly painted cryptic by Brush for Hire. Just check out the video link just there to find out how you can enter. Okay, so this is the list. Now I have played the game against Ace Face. There is a battle report and it will be up tomorrow. So make sure you check in tomorrow to watch the battle report. However, I'm going to run through the list and let me know in the comments box what you think of the list. Let me know if you think I'm going to win or lose with this list against Tau. Okay, so the list is a battalion detachment in the Mephrit Dynasty. That means at half range I'm going to get my -1 AP to all of my Mephrit guns. Very nice, especially for Alpha Strike. So I've got in my HQ slots a Cryptic with a Staff of Light and a Cloak, and he's going to have Merciless Tyrant for the Warlord trait. that extends his Staff of Light by 6 inches. It's not the greatest Warlord trait, however it could be quite useful how I'm going to use that cryptic in this list. Talk about that in a second. My second HQ is a cryptic with the Staff of Light, Chronometron and the Veil of Darkness. Now troops, I've got 18 warriors. Of course they're going to match up with the Veil of Darkness and they're going to teleport in, but more on that in a second. I've then got 2 squads of 10 Immortals with Gore's weapons. And then I have, in the elite section, the Deceiver. So I think you can see my plan here already. And then I've got the Lord of War Auxiliary Detachment, the Tesseract Vault. And that comes in at 1989 points and gives me 6 command points. Now the way the list is going to work is I'm going to deploy everything on the table. The vault is going to go in a central position with the cloaked cryptic behind it. The idea is the vault can move forward, the cryptic can keep up with him, and then I can help regain wounds on that vault. I'm going to have the destroyers deployed either side of the vault. They are going to push up as far forward as possible. And then I'm going to use the Deceiver. Now the Deceiver, you can only guarantee that you're going to move 1 unit. However, I'm banking on moving 2 units. I would have to deploy quite sneakily, so I'm going to deploy 1 squad of Immortals on an objective, hopefully in terrain, and the other one's going to be out in the field. So then if I roll badly with the Deceiver and I can only teleport 1 unit of those Immortals, it means the other units of Immortals are at least in a safe, useful place. So ideally I want to teleport at least 2 units with the Deceiver, and that will be my 2 squads of Immortals. So the Deceiver will go up with the teleportation and the 2 squads of Immortals, and then on my turn 1, which hopefully I will get first turn, I've got quite a small drop which will help my chances. I'll then be able to teleport the Veil of Darkness, Cryptic and the Warriors also in front of my enemy. In the meantime the destroyers are going to move up, and then my Tesseract Arc is going to move forward as well, getting those powers of the Catan within their 24-inch range. And then on my turn, of course, I can move my Immortals slightly forward to get them into rapid fire range, making good use of that -1 dynasty rule, so they'll be -3 on their guns. And then of course the Warriors will be -2 AP. Couple that with all of the Catan powers doing mortal wounds, and then the 20 shots from the Vault, of course they won't be -1 AP at half range because of the auxiliary detachment. And then on top of that I'll have the destroyers stroke heavy destroyers who are going to push forward. The idea is turn 1, I'm in your face and I'm going to shoot the beep out of you. At least that is the plan if I get turn 1. If I don't get turn 1, I'm still going to teleport the Immortals with the Deceiver because that would be a great distraction, and then of course I'm going to have to wait and see how my army does on the table. If I get pounded to death, I'm going to have to take a bit more of a defensive role with the destroyers, etc. So I'm going to play the mission if I don't get first turn. If I do get first turn, I'm going to go all out Alpha Strike. So that's my list. Let me know what you think of it. In the meantime, let's have a quick chat about my Flayed One list. Okay, so list number 3 that I want to talk about, my Flayed One list. Now this list is a themed list based around 60 Flayed Ones, either 3 squads of 20 or 6 squads of 10. Now I have to say that I've really struggled making a list in 8th edition based around this themed army. Flayed Ones took a massive points increase from 12 points to 21 points, and although they've come down now to 17 points, I'm still having issues. Now the original list concept is to have once again a small backfield force, HQ and a couple of troops just holding objectives at the back, and then everything else was assault based. So you'd have 60 Flayed Ones coming in, you'd have 1, 2 or 3 units of Wraiths, 1, 2 or 3 units of Scarab Swarms. Those were the units, the linchpin of the army, everything pushing forward for the assault. Now previously of course Flayed Ones were able to infiltrate, but then they couldn't deep strike. Now we can deep strike the Flayed Ones and we can assault, and indeed with the Novok dynasty letting you re-roll the hits as well as shred to re-roll the wounds. It's quite exciting times for my Flayed One list. However, I've got to make a new list. Now in the index, my Flayed One list from 7th edition to 8th edition worked out at around 3,000 points, so I had to shave off 1,000 points. Really difficult to do. In actual fact, I wasn't able to do it. However, I've had a good look at this list for the Codex, and I think I've come to some sort of compromise on the list. Now this list is just a work in progress list, so I've got some more work to do on it and I've got to play it. However, I think I've locked down a compromise to the list. Now like I said, originally my Flayed One list had some troops at the back. Now there was no way that I could fit in troops into this list and have the Flayed Ones, the Wraiths and the Scarabs in the list. It just isn't doable. So I'm going to have to go all out on the assault side of the army. It's the only way I think I can make it work. Bearing in mind it is a themed list, I'm not going to compromise on having 60 Flayed Ones. They have to be in the list. So I've got 2 detachments for this list. I've got a Vanguard detachment in the Novok dynasty. I've got a Cryptic with a Staff of Light, Chronometron and a Veil of Darkness. And then I've got 6 squads of 10 Flayed Ones in the elite section. I've then got an Outrider detachment, again in the Novok dynasty. We've got a Cryptic with a Staff of Light and a Cloak. I'm going to talk more about that in a minute. And then I've got my fast attack choices. The best I could come up with was 6 Wraiths, so 2 squads of 6 Wraiths, and then a squad of 6 Scarabs and a squad of 5 Scarabs. Now that comes in at 1992 points. So that second Cryptic is definitely the oddball of the army. In actual fact, I think I will change him for an Overlord in a command barge. I'll have to make the points for that though. Maybe drop a Wraith. Now the actual Wraiths and the Scarabs are already pretty slim compared to what they used to be. Hopefully I'll just about have enough there for the army to work. Now the first Cryptic with the Veil, he'll deploy in my deployment zone. I'll just hide him and then I'll teleport him over with the Flayed Ones. Now if the Flayed Ones fail to get into the assault, they are a little bit vulnerable to being shot down. However, with the Wraiths and the Scarabs all charging up the table at the same time, once again this is quite an aggressively played list. I am lacking in the backfield objective takers now with this incarnation of the list, but I'd love to know what you think of the list idea that I've got there, or if you've got any other ideas on a list consisting of 60 Flayed Ones, then let me know in the comments box below. Now of course it is early days with the Codex, we've literally only had it a couple of weeks. However, I am finding that the Codex is a lot of fun. We've got a lot of options in the book, even though possibly it's still slightly overpriced. However, I think it's got a lot of potential. We will be covering more on list building in the future. Beam me up!